Welcome, friends. Lost Scarf here, and it's time for a review and then spoiler talk about Wonder Woman. So the first bit's going to be review, and then eventually we'll do spoiler talk. I'll be wearing the scarf so you know it's spoiler talk time. So if you don't want to be there for that point, just wait for that point, and then stop watching the video, and then watch it later when you've seen the movie, because I want to know your opinions on some of the things. But this movie was really good, and the first thing I need to talk about at the start has got to be feminism, because people are not watching this movie because of feminism, and I don't understand that at all. Having a strong female lead means feminism? You gotta check yourself if that's what you think, because this movie was just a solid superhero movie. They don't do anything about feminism in this. She's just a female who kicks ass, who does her job, she does what a hero does, and she does it very well. Being a female means nothing in this movie besides the points when she runs into just old white guys. That's it. When she's in London, they talk about the female vote. When she's in London, she meets like generals and stuff, and of course they don't think women are anything. And then there's this dress scene where they're like, well, girls have to wear dresses and all that stuff. Besides that, there is nothing else in this movie about the fact she's a girl. That is it. She goes in there and kicks ass, and that is it. And what I like is they tone down, they make her more naive about just how things work, instead of some versions of Wonder Woman where she just kind of lords over the fact that women are just better than men, depending on the writer. There's none of that. This is just a solid character that's naive about the world, learning about the world through Steve Trevor, through Chris Pine, and it is just great. Summarizing the movie, though, you start out with young Wonder Woman. She's just a little girl. She's learning to become an Amazon with the Amazons, and we see her grow up, and she just becomes a badass, and then World War I happens, and it comes to Themyscira, and oh my god, the scene that happens there is amazing. I won't spoil it, but when World War I comes to Themyscira, it is an amazing scene. It is such a cool scene to see. I'll talk about it in spoiler talk for sure, but it's a really cool scene. And well, World War I has happened, and it's come to Themyscira, so Wonder Woman wants to go fight the war. She wants to go stop the war. She wants to go bring peace. She's going to go with Steve Trevor to do it. And Chris Pine is amazing in this movie. He has emotional range. He goes through a lot. Steve Trevor goes through so much stuff in this movie, and Chris Pine shows it. It's on his face. All these different scenes. They take time to show Chris Pine with Steve Trevor thinking about things. And he goes through so many emotions in his face about what he's thinking about, what he's considering, and they do it repeatedly in this movie, and they do it so well, it is just amazing. His character is great. Talk about him in the spoiler talk as well, because there are some scenes I really want to talk about. Just well done. Chris Pine really good there. Gal Gadot does a good job as well. But for me, Chris Pine steals the scenes as far as acting goes. He's just amazing with what he shows off. But they do the World War I, and there's stuff in her in London where it's kind of fish out of water stuff, which is pretty funny and enjoyable. And we just see her be badass here and there. And we see her meeting generals and just really just... There's a scene where she's arguing with these old white guys, and it's not about her gender. It's about the way they're treating the soldiers. This is the thing. There were plenty of scenes where they could have been, it's about her being a girl, but it's not about her being a girl. It's about her being more young and naive and more believing in a cause than it being about her being a girl. And that's what I liked. It was more about ideals and age than it was about being a woman. And that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see stuff that doesn't have to do with gender. It has to do with ideology on other things. That worked out very well, and that's what I appreciate about this movie. And there's some battlefield scenes with her that are really freaking cool and pretty damn awesome. And she's just such a badass in the movie. And the big final battle is pretty good. As far as being critical, some of the action, you get lost in it. Some of the action, it's just not easy to follow everything. But a lot of points are pretty good. And something that's interesting is they bring back 300. There's moments where they slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up, slow down, speed up with her fighting. And it's very interesting. It allows you chances to catch up with the action. And it's done pretty well. But there are parts when you just get lost in the action. There's just too much going on. And I think they could have just done the camera a little bit better there. But overall, it is a good movie. Gal Gadot does a great job. Steve Trevor does a great job. I mean, Chris Pine as Steve Trevor does a good job. The supporting cast was great. Like, the picture, the setup for the picture and those characters. So that's the main cast is Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor and these three other characters, and that's the supporting team. And the supporting team is pretty good. They're pretty fun. They have their moments in the movie, and it's great. And you get to see a real brotherliness about these characters, which is great about them. The villains, though, it's the problem that has been always the problem with any comic book movies. The villains aren't so great, and that's because they're not baked enough. They spend so little time on camera that you don't get a lot out of the villains, and that's just a sign of the times. We spend more time on the heroes than we do the villains, And because of that, the villains just aren't so great. So that's really what's going on there. It's just a solid movie. There are moments that will make you emotional in different ways. You'll feel sad at points. You'll feel amped when the action's happening. You are pumped. I really like this movie. This movie was about 2.5 hours long. Right now, it's only been like half an hour or an hour since I saw the movie. If someone said, "Hey, I'm going to go see it," I would go with them. It was really enjoyable. It's very good. A great rebound for DC as far as movies go. I hope this is not the exception. I hope this is the start of better movies. Coming up next is Justice League, and the thing about that is, of course, Zack Snyder did most of that movie. He had to step away for Joss Whedon. People are like, Joss Whedon can save the movie. No, he's finishing the movie for someone else. So whatever this is, it's still going to be Zack Snyder's vision. Whether it's good or not, we will see. Suicide Squad had its moments that were good and moments that weren't so great. Batman vs Superman is the same thing. Superman, the first one was pretty good. It had problems as well. There's a lot. It's really rocky. These movies are all hits. They all make money, but it's been rocky. Wonder Woman is completely solid. You can nitpick things here and there, but for the most part, this is a solid movie. Very good job done all around. Acting, sound design, directing, camera work is just so good. They did a very good job there. There's always weak points to any movie, and it's really just nitpicking. It's really just nitpicking. There's no glaring problems with the movie. There's just little things here and there that could be better, but at the end of the day, it was done solid. I really liked it. It deserves the rating it's getting. And yeah, so my review of it is damn good. It is very good. Recommend seeing it. There is no excuse not to see it unless you do not like action movies or you do not like comic book movies. If you don't want to see it on the grounds of feminism, I don't understand. I don't understand it at all. This is no reason. That is not an excuse in any way to be anti or for whatever the hell you think about feminism. That is in no way an excuse to not see this movie. This is a movie worth watching. It is very entertaining, and there's just some great scenes, and just the acting on Chris Pine. I'm so impressed. I didn't really care for him in Star Trek. Like, he's just, okay, he's Kirk. He's a very fun character, and that fun part of him is in this, but there are conflicts and other things going on with Steve Trevor in this movie, and he does it so well. I never thought of him as this major actor, like someone who's capable of real acting, but he acted the crap out of this movie, and I am impressed. So that's the review. And now I'm going to do spoiler talk. So I'm going to go get the scarves. You got like a little bit of time to pause the video, or if you don't care about spoilers, there you go. We're talking about spoilers because there's so many good scenes about it and just things that are worth talking about. Go get that scarf. All right, last chance. We were enjoying staring at Kirby. So I wrote notes on remembering the scenes, and here's my vague memory of the scenes. It's growing up, history, training, World War I, the beach battle, the boat, London clothes, spy ambush, meeting the old white men, meeting the crew, the chief, meeting the chief, no man's land, celebration, the gala, gas, killing the red herring, disillusion, trying to explain things to Wonder Woman, the big final battle, and for love. So yeah, we see, Wonder Woman, she's a little kid, and it's cool seeing all the Amazons was pretty badass. Like, the Amazons looked really freaking cool. They're jacked, they look like they can wreck people. It's just really cool to see them. It's cool seeing them train. We get Wonder Woman's history. And you already knew when they mentioned the God Killer, they meant Wonder Woman. Like, the sword's the red herring. There's so many red herrings. There always needs to be a twist these days. I'm like, it's not the sword. It's not the sword. As far as if you thought it was the sword, if you got surprised by that, I don't know. Maybe it's because I've seen so many movies and I've read so many comics at this point. I know what a red herring looks like, and the sword was a red herring. They did enough clues. You could see it on her mother's face that she could tell she's kind of lying there, and that's really good directing. Just not have her just say it's the sword, but to have her have a little bit of conflict about, yeah, it's totally the sword. Like, that's good directing and good acting. And she's training. She's just really badass. It's really cool to see her be a badass. And then the beach battle happens. World War I beach battle happens, and that was such a cool scene. Seeing Amazons be badass, seeing them going along the mountain or the cliff or whatever and just shooting from ropes, and then the multiple arrow shots were really cool. And just seeing them, but not only were the Amazons kicking ass, but they were also getting mowed down because they're fighting modern technology at that time. And so they're killing a lot and getting killed a lot. And it was just really cool to see that scene. It's just cool seeing badass people be badass. And in this case, it's a bunch of badass women being badass. That was awesome. But of course, the general dies, which sucks. And we see Wonder Woman, and we see some motion on Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot, there are points where she was really good, and there are points where she could have been a little bit better, I feel. Like, her acting's pretty good, but I think it could have been a little bit better. I think she could deliver it a little bit harder at times. But she was pretty good for the most part. And when she needs to be sad, she's pretty sad. But I don't know. I felt like it was almost there. I felt like I could almost feel what she's feeling. Chris Pine, I could really feel what he's feeling. Maybe it's because I'm a dude, because I could feel what a dude feels better. But no, because I've seen plenty of movies, and I can empathize with anyone if they do it well enough. And that seems pretty great. When she's discovering her powers and getting the equipment and everything, and then she's on the boat. And I like the little bit of flirting, or not really flirting, but you have Steve Trevor is trying to kind of flirt, or he's trying to feel around. He's trying to find a way to get Wonder Woman's interest whenever he's hanging out with her, and it's just the two of them. But he's not really sure though if he's gonna pull it off, or if she's interested at all. And they have these little conversations, and it's pretty nice. And it's a lot of him trying to explain the modern world to her is very fun and interesting, and I like that. And I wish there was more of that, but I think they did a good enough amount of that, in my opinion, on that. And it was just enjoyable, really enjoyable scene with the boat, and then they're in London. The clothes scene was kind of funny, and there's the scenes that were in the trailer. They're funny, but I guess because they were for the trailer, they're just not as good as they are in the movie itself. Kind of funny, but it's just delivered better in the trailer because it's more snappy in the trailer. Candy's kind of funny. Then there's the alley ambush. The alley ambush was pretty cool. It was like, stay back. It's like, oh, maybe not. Maybe I should just let the badass be a badass. And she goes and does being badass and just wrecks people, which is great. And a touch I liked that I remember now was after they meet the old white guys and they're all being all crappy, and she's like, no, I'm gonna go to the front on my own or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I'm lying. We're gonna go to the front. And he takes the time. He's like, okay, time to prove it. And he just gets her whip and puts it on his hand. He's like, look, telling you the truth. We're gonna go to the front lines. But prior to that, the peace guy in for the English, they gave you a clue. The way he reacts when he sees Gal Gadot, you're like, oh, is he stunned that he sees a woman? No. I'm like, that reaction, I'm like, oh, he's the bad guy. Like, that was all I needed. They gave a subtle clue that he's the bad guy right there, because he sees her and reacts. He's like, oh, okay. And you could argue it's because he's stunned by her beauty if you want at that scene, so it's a fake out. But I'm like, no, his reaction, there you go. And because I know movies need twists these days, he's going to be the twist, and the bad guy, that's right now the bad guy, is the red herring. I saw that coming for sure, and lo and behold, I was right at the end. But yeah, that scene where she's explaining things, people are like, what, this woman can do these things? What the hell? And I like that that's in there, because that is correctly representing the time, is that there's people who just don't think women can do anything. But she does her thing, and she never reacts to it as if they're treating me poorly because I'm a woman. She just does her thing. She just ignores she ignores the chauvinism, or not really, it's not really chauvinism, but she ignores the reactions that she's just a woman. She just ignores it. And I think it's because it was set up because her mom babied her a lot, where she doesn't want her to do things. So Wonder Woman's kind of used to just not having a good time with authority. And because of that, in general, whenever she's dealing with authority, which is usually just men or whatever above her, and they're giving her crap, it's more she's just reacting to authority than it is she's reacting to men. And I think that's pretty good right there, because it makes it more, it's just about her being a hero. It's about her and her ideals. It's not about the fact she's a girl. It is for them that she's a girl, but for her, it's not about that. It's for something else. And I like that a lot. And we see her meet the crew. The crew's kind of interesting. And again, she's like, oh, that guy's got good fists and everything. He's like, the guy getting beat up. I'm like, oh yeah, it's the guy getting beat up. He's the character, isn't he? Yep, and he is. And I don't know. I felt like it was just obvious whenever they tried to do a twist. I'm like, nah, it's too obvious. The characters were great. I can't remember. The actor was pretty cool. I liked him. He was really good at being kind of shifty and stuff like that. And the sniper, I wish I remember their names. Then they meet the chief, and the chief is pretty cool. And it's just interesting, the interaction between her and the chief, when he's like, yeah, this isn't my war. I'm just out here. I'm from America. I lost my country. They got taken. Well, who took them? Oh, his people. and he's gesturing over to Steve Trevor because, well, he's English, and the English came and took America with, and then, Americans who were descendant of English took a lot more from the Native Americans, and that was very interesting there. But we see them together, and the interactions, it's so good. And the interactions between the chief, the sniper, and the actor, there's some brotherliness there. Like when you see the final battle when they think they're gonna die and they're just huddled together, and they're like, okay, well, they're just saying words together. They know they're probably gonna die right now, and it's such a great scene of those guys together, just showing camaraderie. That was really good because it could have just been them just sitting there waiting to get killed, but they come together instead, and it's so good. It's just well done. Just doing that. But they go to No Man's Land, and what I appreciate about No Man's Land is they go to No Man's Land, and he's like, we can't. That's No Man's Land. These guys have been here for a year. That everyone that goes in the middle of that, they all die. And she doesn't. Here's the thing. This was the chance to do some feminism. It's like, well, it's for no man. I'm a woman, and go up and go fight. No, she doesn't say anything. She goes up and she fights. She goes up, runs across No Man's Land. It is such a cool scene seeing her deal with No Man's Land, going one on army until everyone comes over to help her out. It is so cool seeing that scene. And the little touches I like about that scene is when she's blocking the bullets, we see them bounce and hit the dirt. They don't just bounce off somewhere, they bounce and hit the dirt, and it's timed pretty well. And I like that. I like that we see reactions to the world around her, to the things she's doing. That was really awesome right there. And she just kind of runs up and fights. And it's very much what Wonder Woman is. She's very headstrong, and she doesn't really plan out her combat. She just goes out and fights because that's kind of their style. That's always kind of been Wonder Woman's style of just go do the thing. She's never been diplomacy. In anything I've ever seen her, and she's never really been diplomacy, it's always about how she's trying to learn diplomacy, because she's all about Amazon and go out there and kick ass. And so she's like that here. And that's pretty nice. I like that they kept that and they did touches with that. And she just goes out and fights, kicks a lot of ass. We see the place where she's going to take her picture, so we know stuff's going to happen there. She goes there, kicks ass there. Pretty damn awesome. Celebration. When they're celebrating, I was wondering whether or not her and Steve Trevor are going to connect. And what I like is, prior to that, they're just talking about more things, and they're talking about dancing, how she doesn't view our way of dancing as dancing. She views it as just swaying. He's like, well, that is dancing for us. And he's explaining it, and they're dancing together, and her and him share a night together. And I'm fine with us being an age where we don't do sex scenes anymore. I'm fine with it just being implied, oh, and they went and did it. I'm fine with that. I don't need to see it. Especially because it's PG-13, I believe. So I think it's better it's implied, because I think it's more of they share a moment, and it's not really for us to see anyway. It's a moment between these two characters, and it works out pretty well. I thought the camera work was done well for that, and they showed enough on there where, like, they have attention, and then they do something with it. The gala itself could be a weak scene, I think, because they're at the dance. They're kind of there, and she meets the villain. The villain's really intense, really weirdly intense. The way he talks is kind of weird. Like, this is probably one of the weak moments is the villain himself. He's kind of really weird. But she meets him. She thinks he's the bad guy, and she's gonna go kill him. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird scene. But then the gas happens. She runs out, and she goes into the gas, and we see just how durable she is, and she can handle a gas that just breaks things. And that scene is supposed to be the low point, but I suppose the low points aren't delivered all that well. That's supposed to be a low point, and it's a low point, but it's not. It goes straight into another action scene. I don't think the low point was delivered very well on that one. The other low point, after she kills the red herring, after she kills the bad guy, where she thinks, I killed the bad guy, why is war still happening? And two reasons. One is, well, she didn't kill Ares, because of course she didn't kill Ares. But I like the thought of maybe Ares isn't around anymore. Like, maybe it's just men being men. And the scene of Steve Trevor trying to explain that to Wonder Woman of just, maybe we aren't worth it. Maybe we are just kind of crap. But we're both. We have things that are worthwhile, and we have things that are not worthwhile. And he's basically making the argument of why humans are worth it and why they're kind of crappy and everything. Which was a great scene, because you see the conflict on his face. Like, he's trying to just find the words to explain to her what's going on. And with Gal Gadot, the acting was just looked disillusioned, and she did that very well. She just looks like she just doesn't understand what's going on. She can't believe what's going on. She thought she did it. She thought she saved the day. What's going on? She destroyed the Death Star. Why is there still the Empire kind of situation going on here? That's what's happening there. And it's just well delivered. Just very well delivered through the weight of Chris Pine. I can't believe how much I really like him because of this movie. I said it already. I thought he was just okay in Star Trek, but this movie he really delivered. It was amazing. I did not know he could act this well. I've seen a lot of movies with him, just random movies, and he delivered in this one. Then you have the big final battle, and what I liked is we finally see Ares, and big reveal. Guess who it is? I called that, and she fights him. There were really nice special effects. My favorite transition has got to be when she's going through the doorway, and he's in the glass, and she goes, and he's not there. That was really cool and creepy and spooky. I like that. I want to see something like that in a horror movie. Pretty nice. And then she fights him. The sword gets broken. Oh, no surprise. Yeah, that's not the real thing. And, I mean, that's not the God Killer. And she fights him and then gets in his Ares armor. They could have done that costume better. The Ares himself was not so great. The actor is pretty good. I like that actor. He can deliver good lines. But they could have done the villain better, for sure. Of course. There's also the gas lady. She was kind of interesting. She was kind of cool, but we don't get enough of her either. And so she's kind of just one note. Like, all the villains are one note, unfortunately. None of them are complex. It's too bad. They were serviceable, but that's it. You could really... Villains, again, can always be a valid complaint. You can't really say too much about against that. It's a valid complaint. The villain could be better on that one. Going back to Batman vs. Superman, they spent way too much time on Lex Luthor. But for this one, they could have spent more time developing them or something, or just some other kind of character. They were not developed very well. They were okay. They were serviceable. They served the plot well enough. That's really what the villains are in this one. And Wonder Woman just being badass was pretty good. Wonder Woman, when they do the super CG and she's just going crazy attacking people, you get lost a little bit in it. Well, it's pretty good for the most part because you're supposed to feel her rage. And Gal Gadot does a good job of showing rage. She looks pissed. She shows a lot of anger and distraught when Steve Trevor dies, which was such a great scene. I'm glad they took the time on his face where it's lingering on him almost a little too long because he knows he's going to die, and it was such a good scene with Chris Pine. I just really liked his character, apparently. This movie made me a big fan of him. That death scene was pretty good. Like, he knows he's going to go out, and he knows he's doing the right thing, and it's so good. It's done so well. Really liked it, and then her rage, she wrecks everything, and she goes, and she's like, it's the power of love. That's how I'm going to beat Ares. It's so weird. I know she means peace and love, but it's so weird. She's like, with the power of love, you can stop war, you can stop Ares. And she kills Ares, as far as we know, although I'm going to assume he can not really die, because he's Ares, and war always happens. But she takes him the hell out with this really cool attack. And I just like that the supporting cast had something important to do. I really like that they had something important to do, and while she had something important to do, and that's really good. When the whole crew is doing something, that's great. If anyone in the crew is just not doing anything in the final act, then it's not so great. But they did that. It was really good. They, just going back to Batman vs. Superman, they try to do that with Lois Lane, and she nearly dies doing it, which was just so badly executed. While in this, they executed it very well. They did a very good job with that. And they wrapped it up pretty well, and I like it. I like the movie a lot. The thoughts I want to talk about has got to be the action scenes in general. Just how cool do you think they were? I thought they were awesome. I like that they brought back 300 a little bit, where slow down, attack, slow down, attack. I thought that was pretty cool. I'm glad that got brought back because people haven't really used it, and it was used very well here. The best thing is it allowed your eyes to settle back on what's going on, because there were times when there was just a little bit too much going on and you got a little lost. But by slowing it down, you were able to readjust to what's happening. And I like that very much. So, musical score is just musical. Like, this one didn't blow me away, the musical score. It was just very much, it just did the swells were when they needed to be. It was very competently done. The Wonder Woman theme song, I really don't care for. It's just, and then it's just the drums, and then the guitars playing and everything. It's okay. I'm not blown away by that theme. I'm really not. It's just, it's supposed to amp you up, but it's like, It doesn't. It doesn't do it for me. If it does for you, cool. Uh, thought there were cool scenes. There are times when Wonder Woman herself's a little too naive, but she has to be. But it's a little annoying how naive she is. Like when she gets that one guy who takes the cyanide pill, she's like, just tell him the things and whatever. And like, he's already dead. And it's like, what? He's dead. What the hell's going on? And you get she's supposed to be, what the hell's going on? But I guess there's so many scenes of her being naive that at a point it's like, okay, we get it. She doesn't really understand. But you have to have those scenes as well. I don't know. Maybe it was just one too many. Maybe. The lasso I thought was CG'd very well. The arrows I did not think were CG'd very well. When they were using the arrows during the starting point of the movie with the Amazons shooting arrows, I think they could have just shot actual arrows because those arrows were not CG'd very well. And CG's hard. I know that, but oh my god, those arrows could have been CG'd way better than they were, unfortunately. And I just really liked seeing all those badass Amazon chicks. That was so cool seeing so many badass Amazons. That was awesome. That was pretty damn cool seeing a bunch of badasses. And just in general, it was a good movie. I think the thought is, did for anyone who's seen the movie, did you feel like there was a feminist agenda? I didn't feel like there was. Like, I think I explained my points how I just didn't feel like there was one. I thought it was just a solid movie, a well-acted movie that just happens to have a female lead who kicked ass. When she's kicking ass, it was awesome to see. I think the big question is, going forward, do you have more hope now for DC Universe as far as the films go? What are they calling the DC cinematic? Is it called DCCU? DCEU? What are they calling it? I can't remember what they're calling it right now. Because animated universe is, well, DCAU. I don't know what they're calling the film universe. Is it DCFU? No, it can't be DC Film Universe. Whatever they're calling it. This gives me hope. Of course, it's Zack Snyder doing Justice League is Zack Snyder's thing. I did not care for Batman vs Superman. It had points that were good. It had a lot of crap in it. Zack Snyder is probably one of the greatest cameramen in history. His stuff, he has solid camera work, but his directing is terrible in my opinion. I just don't like his directing. His camera work is phenomenal in all of his movies. I just don't like his movies in general, as far as his directions he's taken them in. Man of Steel had a lot of strong points, but in the end, not so great. It gives me hope. It really gives me hope. I hope that this is the start of something better, and it's not the exception. That's my big fear right there. Like Suicide Squad, good points, a lot of bad points. All those movies, good points, bad points. This was solid ride all the way through. Little nitpicks you can make here and there, but it was a good movie. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I recommend it for anybody to see it. If you're somehow at this point and just watching the spoilers, it was good. You should check it out yourself. Someone tells you they don't want to see it because of feminism, they're a doof. They're missing out on a really good movie. This is very enjoyable. So there you go. That was the review and spoiler talk. I had fun talking. Hope you had fun watching and listening. And what are your thoughts on the movie? I would like to discuss this because I thought it was just good. I really thought so. Thanks for coming by, and see you next time.